up in Canada, eh?
Live.
And Maz, Mark Massaro, he's in Cincinnati.
Hello.
And MJ's up in Minnesota.
MJ in Minnesota.
Cool.
Mark Johnson. So, hey, those of you that are tuning in, if you're watching live, welcome. If you're watching the stream after we've recorded, welcome. We call this Stormfront Freaks Raw because this is just the recording of our show. This is episode 91. We're excited to have Kevin Kloesel with us from Oklahoma this evening, but it sounds like his weather is similar to Minnesota and Wisconsin and
Canada.
Canada, yes. But this is the recording, so which means we haven't even started recording yet. You're going to get everything before, everything after, everything in between, which sometimes can be fun. So like the last episode, we got in a huge giggle fest. That if you listen to the edited podcast, you didn't hear any of that.
Right.
Okay, you didn't put any of that in.
No, I took it all.
You took the whole thing out, but it was probably a 3-minute long giggle fest that we couldn't stop. But
yeah,
that's the kind of stuff you might get, and you might get boring crap as well. So if you don't want to watch everything, realize we do edit the podcast and release that usually the Sunday following our recording. So tonight's the 31st of October. Happy Halloween, by the way. We'll post this. That'd be for 3rd of November. If you want to wait and listen to the edited version and save a little time at the same time. So, all right. So we got everybody on, so we may as well kind of plan on getting started here. I think MJ's everyone's camera look good, like they're on HD. They got that set up okay.
So far as I can tell, and I think mine's better tonight, right? Because
yes, yeah, you do look better. How's
hey,
mine? Go ahead.
Hey, Phil, I mentioned that I was going to be getting a new internet service provider.
And?
It's coming on Monday.
All right.
Perfect timing. All right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go from that 2 megabytes upload to hopefully I don't know, first world kind of stuff.
2.5.
Yeah.
3. We'll be pushing 3.
Right.
3 up there. But okay, I think everybody sounds good, looks good. Mute your phones if you have to. And just so you know, if there's any activity, like normally I'm in my basement. We're getting our basement finished, and so now I'm kind of upstairs. But now this is where my family lives, so I might have to mute myself every once in a while too. But just so you guys all know, at the very bottom of your screen, there's the option to mute your mic. You can actually even stop and mute your camera if you need to. Kevin, if you're not wearing pants tonight, that's fine. You can just mute your camera when you get up. That's okay. And
like there's a history with that or something, right?
Yeah.
Greg and I were talking about that the other day
okay.
The joy of only seeing this part of us, right? You can be creative from there. If you happen to get knocked off for any reason, Greg, I don't think you would, but if you get knocked off, just use the same link. We'll jump you right back on. So we'll get started, do the normal little introduction, and then I'll go around and introduce our co-hosts that are on tonight, asking you guys what you're drinking. Kevin, are you joining us this evening with any libations?
Absolutely.
You are? Good to hear. Well, then I'll ask you what you're drinking as well.
Absolutely.
And then I'll turn it over to Maz. Maz will do your introduction, Kevin. Oh. Is that
dangerous.
the Shinerbach?
That is.
Oh, very nice.
So we'll have Maz do your formal introduction after we find out what you're drinking. We'll get into questions somewhere about 20 after. We'll take a break. I'm going to do a little AcuRite plug with MJ right before we go into break, and then we'll just have a little break, and then we'll connect, come back to a few questions, and then do the lightning round. You ready, Kevin?
Ready.
Awesome. So you've been doing too. You've been doing the podcast rounds.
It's been busy.
It's like you're on a tour or something. You
got
a book? Do you have a book out or something we don't know about?
Not yet.
This is crazy. All right. So here we go. We're coming in 3, 2. Hey, welcome everybody to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the award-winning Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you happen to be checking us out, maybe you're a first-time listener or viewer, encourage you to go to stormfrontfreaks.com, because that's where you're going to be able to find links and access to all of our other previous shows with famous guests from the weather industry. We've had on people in the past like Australian storm chaser Daniel Shaw. You can check out that show. National Severe Storms Lab, Harold Brooks has been on as well. So just a wide variety of different weather folks. But we're excited tonight because this is episode 91, but most importantly, we've got meteorologist at the University of Oklahoma's Office of Emergency Preparedness. Dr. Kevin Kloesel is with us tonight. So Kevin, and you know what? I might have mispronounced it. Kevin Kloesel?
Perfect.
Kloesel. I got the thumbs up on Kloesel. So, all right, we'll get it right on the second time. But we're going to have fun because with Kevin, not only do we have some great questions to find out about what he does and how he got there, but also we're going to do our lightning round with Kevin, which is always fun. And then stay with us because we have hashtag WeatherFools and some WX resources to share with you too before things are all done. But one of the things we got to do is we got to introduce and find out who's actually with us tonight and find out from our co-hosts. And the way we do that is to let you know when we record, I don't know about you, but when we record, it's always happy hour. So step up to the bar. We encourage you to join us as long as you're not driving or at work. And MJ, I'm going to start with you up in Minnesota here this happy Halloween. What are you drinking?
All right, everybody. I'm back to my usual Michelob Amber Bock. It's a fine brew for this time of year.
Yeah.
It was good. I was worried last episode because you were into something. What was that? You were Modelo?
Modelo.
Yeah, you were out of your normal boundaries. I was kind of concerned a little bit.
I was at the lake. It was in the fridge. So there you go.
From 1993.
Right. Maz, what are you joining us with tonight?
Final day of October, so we're doing the Oktoberfest. There you go.
Cheers.
Yes, thank you. But
Cheers
there's
to
more
that.
than one left in the fridge. So
Well, you got some work to do tonight.
I
then, my
do.
friend. We are excited to announce tonight we have a new co-host that's going to be joining us, and he is from Saskatchewan up there in Canada. It is Storm Chaser, and he is also the what do you call it? I mean, from Tornado Hunters. He's like the star of Tornado Hunters. But anyway,
That's a
Greg
big
Johnson,
word.
who's been with us for a couple episodes, he is now actually joining us as a co-host. So, Greg, welcome officially.
Oh, man.
Now, as part of the team, there's no honeymoon anymore. So you're not a guest. So be prepared for my wrath when your internet goes down. But what are you drinking?
Well, you know, I am the guy from Canada on the show, so I'm drinking Canadian whiskey, Crown Royal, and I'm mixing it with some Canada Dry ginger ale.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Wow, you're really going Canadian.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
I thought he was going to.
I'm gonna throw in a few A's and boots and stuff like that. So
I thought he was mixing
Boots.
CC with Windsor or something else, and I'm like, ooh, that's potent.
And so with our guest, we tell our guests, you know, this is all done digitally, but if we had a green room, we would fully stock that fridge. So we invite our guests to join us if they want. Kevin, I've got a strange feeling that you might be joining us tonight at the bar. What are you drinking?
Absolutely. It is Shiner Bock this evening. And of course, that is the beer that goes through thousands of quality checks daily. So from my homeland down near Shiner, Texas, it is Shiner Bock tonight.
Nice.
Impressive. So are you saying something about Greg's choice of alcohol not going through a lot of... What are you saying about the Canadians?
It may go through thousands of quality Canadians daily, but Shiner is the only one that goes through thousands of quality checks.
and what are you drinking, Phil?
I'm drinking Fret. This is a brewery here near us in Cincinnati in Blue Ash. It's Fretboard is the brewery, but this is Klosterman Rye Beer. Klosterman is a bakery, and it's a rye beer, rye lager seasoned and brewed with caraway seeds. Very tasty.
Chunky.
Interesting.
Makes it chunky, right?
Chunky.
No, it does taste like you're drinking bread, though, right? It's like a meal in a can. So
All
let's
right.
get to Kevin's official and great introduction, Maz.
All right. Thank you, Phil. So Dr. Kevin Kloesel, meteorologist, University of Oklahoma, Office of Emergency Preparedness. Kevin is responsible for providing weather forecasts and weather safety information to the OU Office of Emergency Preparedness before, during, and after weather threats of all types on the OU campus. In addition, Kevin serves as the director of the Oklahoma Climatology Survey. And do you moonlight as a janitor then too? You got lots of titles
Yes,
going on there.
absolutely. I drive a Zamboni as well. Yes.
What's your favorite job that you do, or can you say?
The one I'm doing at the moment.
Drinking?
Yeah, sure. That works.
So how did you get to be those various different roles? How does that come into
man, by total accident, right? My PhD back in the day was on marine stratocumulus, and I don't think I've looked at marine stratocumulus in 20 plus years. So we kind of identified a need at the University of Oklahoma that we have a lot of outdoor activities, over 300 a year. That's everything from athletics to graduations. And in the heart of Tornado Alley, we really, I think, were sort of remiss in doing all of the prep work, the emergency management kinds of things that you need to do. But thankfully, our university has very much embraced this concept of being safe on our campus. And now I have the best job in the world, and that is to keep the 39,000 people on our campus, that small city, as safe as we possibly can from every imaginable weather threat. And it has been absolutely a joy to work with all of the various departments on campus. As a faculty member, you get to work with your own faculty and students, but on the emergency preparedness side, I get to work with everybody on campus: students, faculty, staff, student organizations, athletics, you name it. It's an absolute joy to work with those people.
What's the most memorable safety issue that you've had on campus?
Every time we have a tornado warning in the vicinity, we do approximately, and last year we checked, over 1,100 hours on our campus sitting in a watch, warning, or advisory. 82 days with lightning in the vicinity where we had to take action, 122 days with a weather threat. So about 1 every 3 days in central Oklahoma, there is some sort of weather threat. So they're almost too numerous to mention. It's why I mentioned earlier, it's whatever's going on now, right? Which is freeze warnings and advising facilities and intramurals and things like that. So it changes, right? And that's what I love about it. It's no 2 days are ever the same, and that keeps everything fresh.
It's amazing anybody makes it to class with all that going on.
They would rather not. I mean, I get pinged all the time, why aren't you canceling this or canceling that? Or, gosh, the hashtag make the call. If we ever have snow in the forecast, my phone blows up with texts and phone calls and you name it. So, yeah, if I can stay away from hashtag make the call, that's awesome. So.
Do you have anybody else that helps you with that, Kevin, in your department?
No, I'm flying solo on this. I'm like my own weather service office, 24/7, 365. So that's something we're working on campus, is what does this look like going forward? I think we've proven the utility of doing it. And now I'd love to hire some folks, some recent graduates, and I think we're working towards that. So that'll be good.
Kevin, I got to ask, Oklahoma, how many days a year would snow or ice be a thing? Like I get the tornadoes, but snow and ice, really?
Yeah, it's not so much snow actually here. Unfortunately, this last several years, it's been more the freezing drizzle, freezing rain thing, which is a little bit more dangerous with the way people drive around here. So, and I don't mean to throw everybody under the bus, but the fact is that it's not Canada, right? So we have to be very, very careful. And it's probably 5 to 7 days a year that we have to deal with those kinds of things. I think more importantly, just cold, right? When you get bitter cold air, even if you don't have precipitation, we have a lot of things that are on campus that are cold sensitive. And you do not want the power going out when you have people doing millions and millions of dollars of research and having research projects ruined, for example. So preparedness is a big deal, even in cold weather as well.
Right.
Have they ever had like the day when they're like, Kevin?
Yes.
Your
Both
picture.
sides. One of the really cool things about our text notification system to campus is that people can reply to it And I don't think, except I'm about to reveal something if anybody's watching, if they reply to it, one, I see it, and two, I know exactly who it's from. So so the kinds of things that I get when we cancel school are crazy, right? Everything from I want to kiss your toes to, I mean, it's just nuts. To when we are back in school, it is the biggest F-bomb fest you have ever seen in your life. You would think that I have just wronged everybody, have become the most unsafe individual in the history of the planet. So
Kevin, what's that threshold? What's that cold threshold for shutting things down?
So cold thresholds will depend on whatever is going on our campus. Usually we've got to get well below 0 if we're dealing with a closure just because of cold. But boy, the ice thing, if there is a single flake, we had flurries the other day and people were calling and asking if we were going to cancel. So yeah, it's crazy.
Have you been propositioned yet on social media for canceling?
Wow. Yes. There's a rumor floating around that a rather large tip jar is in my office, and I have had people come by with cash and gifts and things like that because they have an upcoming exam or something that they really need to have canceled. So yes, it's been a little weird that way.
With great power comes great responsibility, Kevin.
I guess it's kind of funny sometimes. So, but like I said, no 2 days are ever the same. So,
Greg, what's the threshold in Canada? Like -40?
Actually, our kids. My kids are still in the public school system. Well, one's in university now, but they still go outside for recess. If it's at -20, that's their cutoff. So we had last year in February, we had about 5 days where the kids didn't go to school at all. It was just no school day, but it was because of cold weather. But in the month of February, they did not go outside for one recess.
So Kevin, take that, man.
Yeah, I know we're soft. We are soft. I can say that. So,
all right. So Kevin, I don't know if everybody knows this like I do, but for however it is, and this is what I want to find out, you have developed a quote unquote expertise in large event and sporting event weather safety planning.
Yes.
And so I've got some questions about that, but first and foremost, I really want to find out how did you develop that? I mean, a lot of the things you're talking about in your background leading up to what you're doing now at the University of Oklahoma maybe didn't have a history in large event planning. So where did that all come from? How'd you develop that following and that expertise?
Well, it's really weird because we have made it as meteorologists so easy for people to be their own meteorologists, right? The apps that are out there and everything else. And so by empowering individuals to be their own meteorologists, we have also empowered them to make mistakes. And those mistakes have gotten people killed. And, all the way back to the Indiana State Fair stage collapse. Heck, we can go all the way back to a May 1929 game between the Yankees and the Red Sox where people were killed at Yankee Stadium. So there's been a long history of people trying to do things on their own. And all we did is really at OU as we started formalizing expertise and bringing that to the actual problem of large event space. And one thing led to another. We started hosting a severe weather summit in Norman for event managers, and we had just some great people come. Unfortunately, most of the people come after there's a disaster. So, for example, after the Georgia Dome gets hit by a tornado, people show up. Or after a NASCAR event has a lightning hit, they show up, et cetera. But, man, we've got some fantastic working relationships across the space that includes the NFL, NASCAR, et cetera. We still have a ways to go in Major League Baseball, but we're starting to see significant changes with the NCAA, and I am absolutely thrilled about that.
Who's got of all of those sports? So I'm looking more on the sports end of things. Who do you think of all the associations and leagues and entities? Who do you think's got the best weather plan right now?
NFL, without a doubt, and I think a close second is now NASCAR. Of course, they've had some issues in the past, but my goodness gracious, Troy Wilrick, who was at the Daytona International Speedway, he and I met years ago. And they have developed maybe one of the most sophisticated plans for safety, and it's something that is now a model for everybody to use, and that is this emphasis on minutes not miles, right? We get so fixated on a mile radius around a venue, 6 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles, whatever it is. But that doesn't take into account the speed of the storm, the size of the crowd, the evacuation time from whatever venue it is. And in many cases, what we observed is most people were using the same exact plan, whether it was a football game, a concert, or whatever. And you can't do that, right? The demographics of those crowds are very different if you have a concert versus a football game versus whatever it is. So Daytona has been at the lead of this, and part of this is all under the umbrella of the Event Safety Alliance, which is an organization that came out of the Indiana State Fair stage collapse. I am honored to be a part of the Event Safety Alliance teaching team. We have workshops every year. We do this in various places around the country. We just had one in Canada. There's now an Event Safety Alliance Canada. I was just in Toronto a couple of weeks back doing a severe weather summit for many of the folks that have venues there as well. And it's just taken off. We have thousands of venues that have gone through the training.
So, Kevin, I have a specific to Canada. Well, I shouldn't say specific to Canada. Specific to concerts, outdoor facilities where there isn't a stadium like you have at a football game. We've had a couple notable events in Canada with stage collapses where people were killed. What do you do when you've got 30,000 people in an outdoor venue, no actual shelter facilities? What is the what could possibly be done in that situation?
Well, what's interesting, and I'll go back to Indiana. If everybody is familiar with the 2011 Indiana State Fair stage collapse, the Sugarland concert, there was a Philharmonic concert that night at a venue that was outdoors with no shelter. And the same storm system hit that venue just like it hit the Indiana State Fair. Nobody was killed at the Philharmonic because they knew how much time it took to get everybody out of that venue and to safety, and acted proactively with the help of private meteorological services, with the help of the weather service. So they embraced professional meteorological expertise and a well-written plan to know exactly how long it took. And you can do that, right? That's something that, of course, Ottawa Blues Fest back in the day, also 2011. That one was interesting because, again, nobody really knew back in 2011 that we were capable in the meteorological realm of providing lead time for those types of hazards, lightning, wind, etc., to get everybody to safety, whether that safety is vehicles, whether it's buses, whether it's substantial shelter like Indiana State Fair stage, that area had. So it depends on the venue. This is why if somebody asks me for our emergency plan for our stadium, for a football game, some other university they ask me that all the time. Can we have your plan? I'm like, no, I will help you with your plan, but our plan won't work for your place. You have a different stadium. You have different people, different surrounding buildings. Maybe you don't have surrounding buildings, which is going to increase your lead time that's needed. So it's very much door to door. It's not one size fits all. And we're continually doing the door-to-door thing.
And you get much pushback?
Yes, but we have also received, now working with these folks over the years, a level of trust that they understand that what we're trying to do is not ever be the office of no. We want to be the office of let's have it, but let's have it safely. Masters final round is a perfect example of that, right? We're going to move from the afternoon into the morning, right? Against everybody's church schedule, Sunday at Augusta. But
with Tiger leading,
right? But that thing went flawlessly because the capabilities that we have in the Nowcast realm to pinpoint better than we ever have been able to before the arrival of convective storms, whatever it is, allowed that to go off without a hitch. And then, of course, they had to do the evacuation, but they did the evacuation after the tournament was over, right? It was still the people out on the course that were kind of milling around after the event. Had that event gone on as planned, you were talking about a delay right smack in the middle of it. Who knows what happens, right? If they have to go to the next day, the nature of the course changes because it's got rain on it and everything else. So Tiger Woods was very much at the mercy of the meteorologist for that epic, heroic moment that he had.
How do you plan for evacuations for one event like there's probably not a lot of drinking at the Philharmonic,
Right.
but you get the Blues Fest and you're like, okay, we better add 10 more minutes for people stumbling, trying to get out. How do you do that for different events?
You practice at the expense of others, and you time it when you are not weather impacted. Every event has an evacuation, every one of them, right? People come to an event, they all come at different times. They don't all get there at the same time, but I guarantee you at a concert, a football game, a baseball game, everybody's going to leave at the same time when it's over. And that's when you start the clock and you end the clock. And now you have at least a baseline metric that you can work with. And so time the times when you're not impacted, right? Practice at the expense of those wonderful opportunities you have when you're not weather impacted, so that you know exactly how long it takes to clear that facility. We do that with football. We do that with baseball. We do that with everything on our campus. And we've taught that to our friends and colleagues at places like Daytona and NFL, et cetera.
What's the fastest and what's the slowest?
Oh man, it depends, right? There's a huge, like for example, Rocklahoma, which is a rock concert out here in the middle of rural Oklahoma. That can take 30, 40 minutes to get everybody into a safe place. A football game at our place, we're down to about 15, 18 minutes. That's a pretty quick egress. Of course, those folks all want to get back out to their tailgates and, those kinds of things. So they're not hampered by, sort of this pressure over them that they have to evacuate. But what we've observed is that in the actual evacuations due to weather for some of our events, they do occur more quickly than the times, where people are just sort of around.
So one other question, Kevin, along with what you talked about earlier, a great plan you said now is starting to have and be based on time and not distance.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I would agree 100%. That my question is, obviously the challenge there is you've got to have probably someone that can make that call on the time, because it's easy on distance, right? You can get any app, you can get any service that'll tell you, here's where the lightning strike happened. It happened X amount of miles away. But those apps don't share, or those, I guess, services don't share time.
Right.
And so you got to have somebody. So how do you foresee that happening when there are places that don't have ability to have, like you on campus, to make those calls?
One, I always tell them that a professional meteorologist for perpetuity is less expensive than one wrongful death suit.
Are they willing to pay for it though?
Yes, they are now, because they see the value, right? And they think it's more expensive than it is. And to take that load off of them when you've got somebody who's not a meteorologist, I mean, if something bad happens and you're a non-meteorologist using an app, the first question in the court of law is going to be, okay, what qualified you to make a call using this information? Are you a professional meteorologist? And if that answer is no, that deposition is going to go downhill in a real big hurry. So I think people are seeing the value both from a liability standpoint as well as from an expertise standpoint, that just like you would go get the best sound people, the best video production people, the best artists you could possibly have for your concert venues. Well, let's go out and get the best meteorologists for your venue as well. And so we have a lot of folks in the private space that are now filling that role.
So are you going to start your own training facility for people for different events around the country? You could make money doing that,
One of the things that this is not about money, this is about safety. And I agree with you there. That's certainly the case. But I think we're about protecting life and property, and that's primary.
No, I mean, if you could train other meteorologists in the specifics of that.
Yes,
and I got to make a car payment.
Right. And I teach a class at OU about this now, right? I have a senior class where I have 30 to 45 students each semester, each spring, and that's exactly what we do. We do weather decision support, forecast training.
So yeah, Maz is always trying to take that money angle on things.
Oh, I get it.
What are you talking about?
Which is okay, but hey, storm freaks and weather geeks, I want everybody to know I'm pretty excited about the fact that we've got a partnership now with AcuRite, the makers of great weather stations and other weather products, but especially their Atlas weather station, and this is one of their newer weather stations that's been outstanding. I know MJ. He's gotten one, has gotten one of the weather stations. Is that right?
That's right. I've got the Atlas.
He
Absolutely.
does. Okay. So one of the things that I hear is so great about it, and I guess I want you to tell me, what was the ease in setup? Because it sounds like it's really easy to set up and then link it online. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. Yes, there's some steps you have to take and things, but they've got great documentation that goes along with that. So if you kind of follow along with that, it is actually really easy. But there, I won't say there isn't a little setup at the front end, but there is. But once it goes, it just works. I haven't had to do anything since I got it set up, and I have it working so that I can check it on the app. I can check it online. I can do all of that. So.
What have you found to be most useful now that you've got that all set up and you can check out the data? What are you finding is something that you're looking at all the time?
What's nice is to just have it available anytime, so I can look at it because I'm on the road quite a bit around various different places, and I'll just kind of look to see what's it like when I'm coming home. What am I going to get at home? And it's exactly the kind of weather that I'm going to see when I come home. The temperature, whether it's raining, whether it's doing any of that kind of stuff. I do when we have rain events, I do kind of follow that, to see how much it's raining, how much, and go back and look at how much we got and how much what was the per hour rate, things like that.
And you said you've linked that as well to other monitoring sites?
Yep. Weather Underground is what I use. That's there's a lot of people that are attached to that one. And that one's kind of fun too, because then you can kind of compare it to your area or to other parts, other parts of the state for me or whatever. So that's fun to take a look at.
Cool. Yeah, so we're excited about that. So AcuRite.com, that's where you go to find the Atlas weather station, a lot of the other products they have. What's also nice is they've provided for us and our listeners, an opportunity to get a 10% discount. So if you go to AcuRite.com and you use the promo code PODCAST, PODCAST, they're going to give you a 10% discount on all the AcuRite products that you might want. They've got lightning detectors, they've got handheld anemometers, a number of things. But again, just go to AcuRite.com and use the code PODCAST for that 10% discount. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a break. Go ahead and get another drink. That's where I'm heading. And we'll be right back with more from Kevin. Cool.
Good job, Kevin.
Well done.
Kevin, you're really smart.
Oh, God.
Hey, listen, guys, since it's Halloween, I just wanted to throw a shout out to Phil for dressing up like Vin Diesel. That's awesome, man.
You're welcome. I am Groot. Do you know that? Do you know he was the voice for Groot?
No.
Oh, that's right. He was.
See, and you said Kevin's smart. Vin Diesel was the voice of Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, so we'll come back. I will start with another question for Kevin. We'll do a few more questions. So if you guys got some more stuff for Kevin as well, we'll do that, and then I will bring in the Thunder for our lightning round, and we'll do our lightning round, and then take a break after that. And then Kevin, you can decide at that point if you want to stick around for the last two segments or take off. Either way is good with us.
Okay.
All right. Any questions from anybody on anything? MJ, who do we got on here tonight?
Yeah, shout out to our folks that are active in the chat tonight. We've got Rick and Parker and Timothy and Christine, of course. Hendrick has joined us, and Texas Weather Tracker TV is
look at that. Hey, Texas
tonight,
Weather Tracker TV.
Here's their there you go. Hello.
They will get so we're looking forward. So this show, one of the other neat things is we will edit the video, and we'll make that available to all the Texas Weather Tracker TV viewers next Sunday. So right now, William Cole is showing our show, broadcasting our show on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we usually give him a couple shows. We give him a new one and then kind of one of our greatest hits. And he shows those back to back to back to back. So,
hey, Phil, how do I respond to live comments? How do I?
You have to be on YouTube. So we can't do it from StreamYard.
Gotcha.
We can just view, but we can't respond unless you're on YouTube.
You all can see them and can't respond. I can respond, and I do. That's part of
from
part
StreamYard.
I can do it through StreamYard. Yeah.
Oh wow, cool. Okay,
Nice.
That is nice.
Because I'm the controls of it. But
All right.
but if anybody else, you can go on and
On the
look at the YouTube.
Okay.
Yep, and you can do it from there. So
Gotcha.
I can only do one thing at a time though. So
I know. Trust me, I can too. And MJ, I noticed you too, that when we were doing the AcuRite plug, I was on full screen the whole time. So
oh, you were.
while you're responding, I'm just kind of
sorry.
No, I get it, because it's hard to be controlling and talking.
I can't switch it. I've tried a couple of times to switch things when I'm talking. Yeah. And if you remember, one of the times I kicked myself out completely.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
all right, Kevin, any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You know what? Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna go get another beer.
Hey, Kevin, while we're waiting for Phil, I don't know. Maybe this is a question I should save, but have you guys thought about like a war room type scenario for big events?
I'm not sure I understand exactly.
Well, like for example, like you and your students are doing the work, but it could be a festival in New Jersey. It could be a festival in Oregon or wherever.
So that's there are several people sort of at odds there. I have a philosophical belief that a meteorologist on site provides more intel, because that's eyes on the ground. And if your communications goes down, that person is still there to be able to talk with emergency management, law enforcement, first responders, whatever the case may be, organizers. When you are supporting it from a distance, I think it's probably okay for maybe smaller festivals or things like that. But man, I'm a big believer in having on-site support, and that is the way we do it here at OU. So
Gotcha,
that's just my own personal belief, though.
Could be a graduate lab.
Because AccuWeather, to all of the that are out there, will support from a war room in their private sector office, and then support that, globally, and maybe do multiple events simultaneously.
Yeah.
So
I was just curious.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And like I said, man, I like to be boots on the ground. I think sometimes the value of seeing storms develop, you guys know that, right? I become a spotter in that case, and looking at glaciation of storms and, what it looks like from a lightning. In fact, I've used even my camera phone at times to do time lapse, so that I can actually see what's happening above the freeze line, et cetera, of storms that are building. And then we can roll that back through and kind of see, okay, well, it's undergoing subsidence, it's drying aloft, whatever the case may be. That really helps us sometimes with first strike lightning capability. So, and some of the new tools that are available on Go 16 now, man, just lovely stuff to be able to do first strike capability. It's fantastic. So,
hey, I want to do a quick shout out to Hendrik is following us from the Netherlands.
Whoa,
it's
awesome.
2:30 in the morning for him right now.
Dude, go to sleep.
So you can catch us later, right? You can watch us later. No, I'm kidding, man. We love having you.
Awesome.
There's his note.
Cool. All right. So, Kevin, any questions? You ready to keep going?
Ready.
All right. Coming back in 3, 2. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're with University of Oklahoma's meteorologist, Kevin Kloesel. And Kevin, earlier we talked about some of the associations and leagues that had some good policies, some maybe that didn't. And obviously one that you mentioned that I wanted to also bring up is Major League Baseball. I can't tell you how many times we've got a segment on the show that we call #WeatherFools, where we identify people doing stupid stuff in weather situations. And there's been a number of times that there's been an image of a Major League Baseball game going on. The stands are filled, and there is a lightning strike or multiple, as Greg's talking about, like right there. So what's the issue with Major League Baseball? Why are they the harder ones maybe to get on board with this emergency weather planning policy?
So I'm not going to be able to speak to why. I do know that from a WeatherFool standpoint, it's on us, though. Whenever we see something like that, it means we haven't done our job. We haven't educated them in a way that they understand it. And sometimes we talk past each other because we can be so jargon, so technical, so those kinds of things. One of the things that we were able to do was get into the sports turf grass associations, which are where the grounds crews reside,
sure,
and do a tremendous amount of education with them so that we start to think about, let's not wait till the pretty colors get there, because typically that's too late, because the umpires are going to clear the field. The grounds crew is going to have to go out and do their work. So you have to take that into account. And Major League Baseball really wasn't, right? Major League Baseball was waiting till the last minute and then sending the ground crew out in harm's way. And that tends to be where you see those YouTube videos, right? It's typically the grounds crew that's out there in harm's way. I will say this, right? Major League Baseball has put the weather decision in the hands of the umpires. And the umpires are busy enough as it is, right? They're not going to be able to check weather. So they're relying typically on a non-meteorologist to help them with that, but they're not going to do that in the middle of an inning. So it's piecemeal, right? It's in between the inning, it's in between the half inning, it's in between the inning, and so on. And weather doesn't work that way, right? I mean, if weather's out of danger at the half inning, but 2 outs into the bottom of that inning, now you have a weather danger, you're not going to be able to interrupt anything until the bottom of that inning. So it's too late. I will say this. The rule book, the Major League rule book, changed this year. There was an addendum to the rule that talks about the umpires being in control. And that rule change allows teams, individual teams, to have their own severe or inclement weather safety plan that would supersede in the event of lightning, strong winds, storms, whatever the case may be. Now, I don't know that the clubs actually internalized that rule change because it's buried in the rule book. But I'm hopeful that with our ability to try and let them know that this exists, that more and more teams will have a severe weather plan, because the way that rule is written, it says that you have to file that weather plan with the league office before opening day. Well, it was too late to do that for this season because nobody had seen the rule book right until the season started. So we're hopeful that for 2020 that individual clubs might have more robust, severe or inclement weather safety plans that can supersede and maybe get us out of those situations where we see all those YouTube videos.
So we've had Mace Michaels on the show, who's the meteorologist for the Minnesota Twins. They actually employ him. But I know that's unique, especially in Major League Baseball. That's rare. But how many? If you look at NFL, if you look at Major League Baseball, NASCAR, how many of those have a paid meteorologist on site for the team or for the home stadium?
Paid on site, very, very rare. There are several Major League clubs that have that. The problem is the rule book doesn't allow that individual to be of any help, really, as far as calling the game goes, right? They can do all kinds of things before the game starts. And so we've seen cancellations before game starts and things like that. They don't have any latitude while the game is in play. That's the difference with Major League Baseball. NFL is running it out of New York, right? They're sort of running it on behalf of everybody from the league office. NASCAR is individual sites, so Pocono, Daytona, Charlotte, Texas, etc., and most of those use a service.
What's it going to take, like a bolt from the blue, to get people to change?
Unfortunately, yes. And I tell this to them all the time, right? It's going to take Major League Baseball, come on, you've seen this, right? Foul balls into the stands, bats into the stands, then what? The reaction, the netting. And it's happened with Major League Baseball. It's been sort of a reactionary operation for its entire history. And we're trying to change that to be more proactive with respect to weather. But I tell people, right, when the lightning strike hits, it's not going to be at the top of the stadium. It's not going to be on the light standard, not going to be on the flagpole. It's going to be a Rendon, a Soto, somebody like that that's going to get killed in the outfield during a game. And then, of course, you'll see all sorts of weather plans. I don't want it to get to that point. And that's why we've been so forceful trying to get folks to change. Like I said, we've been really successful in a lot of places, not as successful with MLB.
You know, in the old days, when we were on the air, severe weather never happened during commercial breaks. So I don't know exactly what's happening these days, but I blame it on climatology.
Sure. Let's call it that, right? So, but it's like I said, I'm gonna talk about the positives, right? I mean, the NFL, NASCAR, NCAA. Again, the NCAA just this year instituted a hydration and heat policy for early season soccer games, and at the Division I level, and that's been working fantastically, and hopefully that will allow us to prevent heat fatalities, because heat fatalities are on the rise, right? They're much higher than lightning fatalities. So heat fatalities, particularly in July and August, whether that is in football, high school football, NCAA, marching arts, right? The bands and things like that. We're seeing, unfortunately, non-zero numbers of fatalities every single year, and we've got to put a stop to that.
How about hockey?
No, not that I know of, unless it's outdoors. People,
fog. They deal with fog every once in a while. I hear about that.
So,
But,
you mentioned hockey, though. The was it in Ottawa? Where was it that the arena was hit by a tornado?
That's a good one.
Couple of years back.
It may have been Ottawa. They've had a lot of tornadoes over the last few years.
So I think so. So again, it's not just the outdoor events that we're worried about. It's the large mass, large span roof facilities, arenas, concerts, etc., that still have to have a plan in place.
It's probably Thunder Bay.
So Kevin, we talked earlier about. I'm with the athletic department at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. And we are in the process right now of developing a more robust weather plan. But one of the things, obviously, we've come across that I know you know a lot about are trigger charts. And can you explain to people what is a trigger chart and what are the benefits of that when putting together any kind of emergency plan,
right?
But certainly for weather.
Yeah, a trigger chart is simply an if-then, it's all it is an if-then statement. If something happens, we will do X. And the benefit of a trigger chart is that all of these discussions occur beforehand, right? They occur before the event, months, before. And you get everybody on the same page to agree to what those decisions are going to be. Where we see people get into the most trouble with events is that they haven't had time to think about the ramifications for whatever is happening. And so then they all get together and try and decide on site as the storm is approaching, right? And you don't have the time to do that. So a decision chart, trigger chart, just lays out how the individuals will address them. And like for a concert, that's everything. When do we put the windscreens down? When do we take the video boards down? All of those, get people away from the stage. Every one of those will have a chart that at a certain time of risk, that area will either be cleared or that function will take place. When do we notify? When do we, all those things? But it's pre-done. Everything's done proactively, and it's in a playbook before you walk in. And we tell that to the sporting folks. No sporting crew ever goes into a game without a game plan or a playbook. And that game plan and playbook are months ahead, right? And not the day of the game. If you try something new the day of the game, it is going to go poorly. And we see that in events all the time with weather.
I can't tell whether Kevin would be really fun at a party or really awful to be at a party with.
The latter.
Well, remember, he's the guy that said we're not the Office of No, right? We're the Office of Let's try to make it work.
Yes, but safely, right? So that's the other problem with a party. So
no shooters.
I'm going to be the one that walks in and says, okay, where's the emergency plan? Where's the exit? What are we doing?
And then he's going to help himself.
What happens if we run out of beer?
That's what it's going to be. Hey, so that's the sound. It is time for our lightning round. So, Kevin, this is our game show of flashy questions. We always play with our guests. What's great about this, too, is we always encourage our listeners and you to play along as well. So tonight, we've got a little game we're going to play. And I'm going to call it, let me see, I think I'm going to call it Name That Sporting Event. So name that sporting event. So what this is going to be is I've got the top 10 sporting events affected by weather, and this is from realclearsports.com. We're not going to cover all 10 of them, but I've got 4 of them. And here's what I'm going to do, Kevin. I'm going to start with 3 hints.
Soccer.
So the goal is I want you to describe the event, this name of the event, what happened, what it was called or whatever. So I'm going to give you 3 clues, and if you don't know it yet, I'll give you another one. If you can't figure it out yet, I've got 5. So I've got a total of 5 clues. I'm going to give you 3 to start with. We'll go from there. If you want some help from your fellow freaks here, you're certainly welcome to ask for assistance. Not that they're going to help you out at all, but you never know.
You're going to ask.
You throw that disclaimer.
These are specific events, not sports, right?
Specific events.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
right.
Specific events. Okay, so I'll kind of help you through this. I'll help you through it a little bit. So the first one, Here's the event I want you to try to name. This happened, the year was 1992. 2 teams were made to play in a virtual monsoon. I mean, it was just pouring out, and they were basically forced to have to keep playing because CBS had to televise the one-game championship the next day. With those 3 hints, do you happen to know? 1992 College World Series. Very good. That's correct.
Wow.
Cal State Fullerton and University of Miami.
Yep.
In Omaha, Nebraska. So,
Nice.
yep. So they had to play in this monsoon of a downpour because they had to get it in because they had to play tomorrow.
You're going to find TV is going to be at the root of many of the decision triggers in weather and sports.
Is that on the trigger chart?
Yes.
Oh, is it really? So some people.
Wow,
so
absolutely.
do you guys? The University of Oklahoma is having confer with the television production company.
We, at about 5 o'clock in the morning Central Time, had to wake a Fox executive up at 3 a.m. to let them know that there was no way we were going to be able to kick off a game at 11 a.m. due to lightning. So we proactively moved that game to the afternoon. That was the Oklahoma-Kansas game back in 2015, which then, of course, in Fox's realm, runs into the Cal-Stanford game, which is a big deal for Fox. And so, yeah, they were not happy with us at all.
But they didn't get to make the decision, did they? You just had to inform them of the decision.
Right. Yes. Correct.
Okay. So that's a little better. All right.
Got power.
You nailed number 1. Number 2 happened in 1988. It was a playoff game, and the weather affected the fans, players, and officials from being able to see anything.
The fog game, the Eagles, Bears in Chicago.
That would be the 1988
Jeez.
Fog Bowl. Yep.
Hey, wait, did you tell him he's not allowed to use Google for this at all? Or what?
I
think he is Google.
I can tell. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
impressive. All right, 2 for 2. Here we go. Here's the third one. This happened in 1967. So, Kevin, you're a young man. You probably weren't even born then.
Yeah, I was.
This was a championship game, and 1 spectator actually died, and 11 members of the marching band were hospitalized.
That's not the Cowboys Green Bay, is it?
That was kind of a question, but that is the answer. Yes, it was the 1967 Ice Bowl.
Yep.
Dallas at Green Bay. Temperatures dropped to -15, which is the coldest NFL game still to date. Wind chills -50.
And the next clue was that one of the players had permanent frostbite.
That would be the 6th clue that you just added. Yes,
All
that
right.
would be correct.
So how was the person killed, Phil?
It was a spectator, and it was the cold. I don't know what it was, severe
wow.
frostbite or something like that, but it was a spectator.
We see cold impacts elderly and young disproportionately, and that was a situation in that case.
Yep. All right, so here's the last one. You're on a roll, Kevin. This happened in 1982. It was a championship game. There are 27-mile-per-hour winds, and the wind chills were -60 degrees. Can you name the event?
82.
Happened in 1982. I'll give you hint number 4. This was between San Diego and was at Cincinnati.
Oh, so that's an NFL playoff game.
Okay, I already said it was a championship game, so that, yes, I'm not going to give it to you on that, though. Do you remember the name of the event?
It is the AFC championship game.
Okay, I'm not going to give it to you yet. Bengals. So far, you're good, but you're not naming the event. So Bengals coach Forrest Gregg played. He was the Bengals coach at the time. He actually played in that 1967 Ice Bowl for the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
But this had a name to it. Do you remember the name of this event? 1982.
Oh, so they gave it a name after the fact.
They gave it a name, just like the Ice Bowl was given a name.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm blanking on that. So.
All right. Any help from the freaks?
I can think it's
Maz,
Freezer
you're
Bowl.
Cincinnati.
Yeah,
What's that?
no, I was thinking Freezer Bowl.
That was it. So it
okay.
was the 1982 Freezer Bowl.
Yeah.
So
Man,
Kevin, not too bad, my friend. You're 3 for 4 out of that.
you
was
need
pretty
a
good.
raise, buddy. Yeah, good.
You even got the 1967 one, which was a little shocking. So hey, tell us this, Kevin. How can people find you, follow you on social media?
Sure. I am on Twitter. I am at Texas Embassy. But if anybody wants to follow my burner account, that is OU Emergency Prep. That is all of the weather information for the University of Oklahoma campus. So OU Emergency Prep on Twitter and or Texas Embassy, all one word on Twitter.
I don't even know what that is. What's burner? Wow.
A burner account is when you have more than one account and you take on an alter ego. So I have personal stuff on one and all the work stuff on the other.
It's the alternate.
Hervé Villachez, I remember you.
He's Mitt Romney.
Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, tell you what, we're going to take our final break. We'll be right back with hashtag Weather Fools. All right, Kevin, great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Really good.
Wow.
Hey, are you going to stick around or are you going to head out?
I'd love to stick around if you.
Beautiful.
If
Yes, we would love to have you. I will ask you a favor. Can you do me a favor? Do a little sound bite for us.
Yes.
And just say, hey, this is Kevin Kloesel of the whatever. You got 8 billion titles, so whatever title you want to pick, but just say this is Kevin Kloesel, the blah, or Dr. Whatever you want to do there too. I don't care. And you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
This is Dr. Kevin Kloesel at the University of Oklahoma's Office of Emergency Preparedness, and you are listening to Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Wow.
Well done, sir. Good job.
Good job, Dr. Kevin.
It took Greg like 5 takes to get that one right when we had him on, so that's good.
You know, I was thinking, I think the other vulnerable people at events like the freezer bowl and the ice bowl are the people who are wearing no clothes with things painted across their chest, right?
Yeah. You know where we see that most often is, strangely enough, the people that we respect the most, and that is the Naval Academy and the U.S. Armed Forces Military Academy. The Army-Navy game is notorious for that because it's always in December. It's always very cold, and they just love to do that.
And they let them do that, huh? I would think you'd have to wear your uniform.
No, they're supposed to show their navel.
Well, that just killed the mood, man.
You just dropped
We're
it
done.
down a
Good
few
night,
notches.
everybody.
Yeah, I don't have my rim shot sound effect on that. Okay, so let's do this. We've got shout outs to anybody here, MJ. Anybody have any questions for Kevin we want to ask on a break?
I got one. I got a question for him.
Okay.
Totally out of the blue.
That works.
We got Shane. Shane has joined us. We already talked about Hendrix, so those look like the new folks that are here since we talked before. They were playing along with the taking a shot at the lightning round.
All right, what's your question, Mass?
All right. So when I was on air, we used to have you'd have a nightmare, and the nightmare was always pertaining to trying to get to the TV station you forgot, or you didn't have your suit or whatever that was the nightmare. You'd have that in the middle of the night. You wake up. So what is with your role? What's your nightmare?
The thing that keeps me up at night is a fatality in weather on campus. We have the preeminent meteorology program on the planet. It's internationally recognized. A weather fatality on our campus, I think, would not only be harmful to the family and everybody that's in that social circle, but to the reputation of the OU School of Meteorology as well. So I think that's and I know it's a when, it's not an if, right? We can never prevent every fatality, and we're sitting in one of the highest risk areas on the planet. So yeah, that keeps me up at night. So.
Sure.
Hey, personal question. So does your
remember we're
get
live.
a feel for this? I know. Well, I'm thinking this. Obviously, working at a university, and Kevin, you talked about the fact that hey, if all you got to do is sell them the cost of employing a meteorologist to a lawsuit,
right?
But a lot of universities right now, higher education, there's a lot of budget cuts, budget issues going on. Where that's again, it has to be, in my opinion, it's reactionary, right? Someone's got to get hurt, property or lives got to be damaged for them to go, okay, we need to have something. So I guess my kind of question is, has University of Oklahoma gotten creative with paying you through, since OU's got that meteorology department and you're teaching some there, is some of your, I guess, salary being paid through different entities? They're getting creative with that instead of just saying, The university's got to take it on because a lot of universities don't have a meteorology department or atmospheric science department.
Exactly.
To be able to creatively do that.
And yes, the answer to the first question is yes. My salary is pieced together because of the various tasks that I have. But for those universities that don't have one, we've been fairly successful at convincing those universities that the current state of the art in duty of care as it pertains to weather and outdoor activities, athletics, et cetera, is to have a professional meteorologist on board. So we've seen NC State, for example, go that route. I have helped Duke. I have helped West Virginia. I mean, other universities are jumping in. These are not meteorology program universities, but they're seeing the utility in having somebody on site who allows them to do their job safely so that they don't have to worry about the weather piece. And I guarantee you, if you have a professional meteorologist, you have a plan, you have decision triggers, and they have been vetted, then you've exercised your duty of care, and the liability then issues are much lower if something bad were to happen, because you've essentially done everything within your power to keep people safe.
Right.
And that's a big deal when it comes to a college campus.
Right. Okay.
So here's that. I threw that up before. Shane had this comment.
Yeah, it's a great comment.
Until someone dies in front of a crowd, nobody's going to care. People are generally, as a species, awful at self-preservation.
I completely agree with that statement. Completely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do this. We'll finish up. We'll come back to hashtag WeatherFools. Maz, you going to introduce that?
Sure.
I have 3, and MJ, I'm going to be sharing my screen for Greg's.
Okay.
Anybody else? That's it.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. That's 4.
Got 3.
We're
Got
still
3.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Phil
3 and
and
1.
Will?
I've got 3. Greg has 1.
Greg, gotcha.
I'm just going to share my screen because I've got it pulled up. I'll
Okay.
just share my screen when he covers it.
Cool.
Okay, and then episode 91, show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then WX Resources. Greg, I'll have you introduce that. So WX Resources, you can just say, hey, this is where, we introduce great sites, books, equipment, anything that pertains to weather that we feel you might be interested in. And I've got a WX resource.
I got one.
And I got one as well.
Okay.
Nice.
So just go ahead and you whatever order you want to take it in, Greg.
Dr.
You could
Kevin,
start with.
Dr. Kevin had one too.
Oh, Kevin's got one too.
Yeah,
so
he
we
put his
got
hand
4.
up.
Nice.
All right, so we got 4.
Good job.
So just Greg, go in whatever order you want. And I should say this: does anybody else, especially for WX resources, do you need to share your screen? Is this something you want to share your screen,
No.
or just talk about? So
I will.
Kevin says no.
I'll share my screen. I'll share my screen.
Maz.
Yeah, I'll share.
Okay.
I'll attempt to share.
So let's do this. You can share your screen now.
You can do it now because it goes into the green room.
Okay.
And then MJ will just pop it up when you're ready to talk about it.
Where does it go? Share screen.
Like I've been, mine has been sitting shared the whole episode. It's just been sitting in the green room
Share.
until MJ calls it up.
Hitting share.
So I hit share. How come share's grayed out?
Because I'm trying to share. Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter. Each of you can share at the same time.
Oh, really?
Should be able to.
Oh, I got it here.
Okay.
Yep.
There, I see Greg's, but not Maz's.
Hang on. Share audio. Share. Why is mine not sharing? Application window?
You have to pick the window.
You have to pick the window and then you hit share again.
Okay, hold on.
You have to click on what you want to share.
There, I see it.
Do you see it?
Yep,
If I do that and then I click this, does that show?
Yep, I see a picture of some
Yeah.
images.
So you said Vin Diesel, Phil, and I am like, I think Greg looks like Tim Hawkins, the comedian, but without glasses.
Tim Hawkins?
Yeah, he's a comedian, very funny guy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I know who you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I see a resemblance.
yep. If you put glasses on him, I think that's it. So anyway, all right.
We have no more viewers anymore.
Can you see that? Yeah. All right.
We scared them all. Happy Halloween.
I had a good run.
All
Can you
right.
see that?
So then Greg,
yeah,
once
again, the-
Greg, once all 4 of us are done, then you can just remind everybody they can, and if all of you can
Maz, it
email
went
me
away.
your
Put it
links, email me your link so we can get that in the show notes. But Greg, just remind everybody, hey, if you want to check this out yourself, you can go to the episode 91 show notes at stormfrontfreaks.com. Or a lot of times now you can just look at the show notes right off your phone, whatever app you're listening to the podcast on.
Okay.
You could do that as well. So
Cool.
And Kevin, you've done a number of podcasts. Maybe you got some advice for us. So
No kidding.
No.
We've only been doing this for 3 years, so it's
been busy. I've done several Event Safety Alliance podcasts. I just did Weather
I've listened to
last week, did Weather Geeks the week before that. It's been busy.
First one you've been drinking at?
Yes, correct.
We are the most.
We're good for something, right?
Yeah.
We are good for something.
Hey,
All right.
Maz, your screen disappeared. Your screen share. You got to put it
Yeah.
back.
Oh, should I put it up? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
keep it up the whole time.
Keep it up. All right. Here
Yep.
we go.
MJ will just bring it in when you start talking about it.
And hang on a minute. There, share, and click on.
There you go.
Do you see it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can just
Leave it right there.
talk about it. He'll control when it goes on the screen and everything else. All right. So when we come back, we'll applause into Maz to hashtag Weather Fools, and then when you're done, we'll go to Greg, and then MJ fan freak box.
The fan freak box is freak fan box
Freak
is empty, but I'll talk anyway.
What the heck?
Okay, and then I'll close this out. We should be good. So could go in 10 minutes. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right, Maz. 3, 2.
All right, welcome back. Time now for Weather Fools. We've had a couple of weeks to find some more. Phil, you found 3 just craziness out there.
My goodness, yeah. So we're starting things off a little bit. What's my first one is kind of a little bit of hashtag space fool. I'm going to call it hashtag space fool. I don't know if that's maybe the best way to describe this, but what happened is this is from Mike Terpstra on his Twitter. And he's sharing something from Facebook, and Nancy Mumby Welke on Facebook said, "Unbelievable! Look what just fell out of the sky, and 911 is baffled, and it's caught up in our tree." Well, it looks like a satellite. If you look at it, it's on the ground. It looks like it's tipped over, but it looks like it would have some solar panels and landing gear from 1967. But obviously it's not at all charred. Like it hasn't gone through our Earth's atmosphere at all. It is just a little beat up homemade satellite. So my weather fool goes to Nancy on Facebook for her fake satellite that apparently fell out of the sky. All right, the next one is Spanish from Informando. This is on Twitter. And so we always joke about people that, turn around, don't drown issue, and because they're driving in floods. And I'm not exactly sure Santa Rosa. I don't know where that is. I'll be honest with you. I'm not. Anybody here speak Spanish that can read what that says?
Thought it was in California.
Okay. No, I don't believe this is California. But they're not only are they trying to go through a flash flooded waters down this street. I mean, it is flowing water. But if you notice what it is, it's a motorcycle. Someone tried to take a motorcycle through flooded waters.
Oh, jeez.
Or a scooter. It's a motorcycle or a scooter, and obviously they didn't make it very far. So you're my weather fool on that one.
It wasn't a scooter. Maybe that's why I didn't get for. Hey, get off my scooter.
Maybe that was it. And then the other one, Greg, you're gonna like this. I'm gonna bring this up. This was in Canada.
Oh yeah, this was amazing.
Did you hear about this in Edmonton? There were some high winds, and this is a video of basically someone of people that were cleaning windows on this high rise, and
that
somehow
is insanity.
The platform that they were on cleaning windows broke free, and it's flying all over the place. Okay. It's smashing into windows. And look, there's a guy that fell out. He's dangling by his by his whatever that was. I don't know what you would call that, but he was dangling by his harness, and that had to have hurt a little bit. I'm sure he was speaking a little higher when he was all done with that.
So the winds in that storm, Phil, peaked at over 170 kilometers an hour. It was
So what are you doing cleaning windows in a high rise?
Crazy.
It's got to be
Kevin,
done.
they didn't have their trigger chart.
No triggers. Yep. And no professional meteorologist to help them out.
No, God, no. I hope not anyway, right?
But there
Good.
was
All right. Those are my three.
Oh, that was
All right.
it. That was all three. Okay.
Those are my
Awesome.
three.
Greg, you've got one.
I got one. So, Phil, you want to throw that one up on screen? So,
Yes.
this was the big tornado event. Tornado goes right through, metropolitan Dallas. And, major tornado event. Lots of warning. Anybody who says it came out of nowhere, that was not a thing at all. There was tons of warning. Yet this weather fool was filming.
See in the background. Look at the roof. You can see roofs flying off the background there. Did you notice that?
Absolutely crazy that he's filming.
It's like his porch.
The guy's lucky to be alive, and I mean, anybody who's ever been around a tornado, been around storms, knows, like, in that situation, get to an interior room, get away from windows, and like right now, I think Kevin's blood pressure must be just kind of elevated right now watching something like that.
Can you guys see that? I mean, it's insane on the porch.
Oh, there you go.
Look at the debris flying around. And then if you do look in the background, you see lightning kind of highlights. You can almost maybe see a little bit of the...
I think you can see the funnel there, like
circulation right there.
But there's no question that there's debris flying around, and obviously there's gonna be glass flying around and everything. What a weather fool!
Whoa.
There's you can see the shingles, roofs, all that stuff flying off the background there.
You don't want to get shingles, man.
No, that's what I heard. I've heard bad things about that.
All right. So that's it. If you couldn't see it, you'll be able to see it on stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 91, show notes, or if you're using your podcast app.
That's right. All right, Greg, help people introduce WX Resources.
All right, so WX Resources, for those that aren't aware, WX, I just found this out myself, is a short form for the word weather. So this is Weather Resources, WX Resource. Kevin, don't give me that look.
There's lots of things you can learn on the show.
But now I'm going to do the blood pressure cuff.
So Weather Resources, this is where we get to share some of our, favorite sites, maybe interesting people to follow, but just anything to do with weather that we think we can share. So I'm going to start this off, Phil, and I'm actually going to share, since this is my first show working with you guys, I'm going to share my other world, which is photography. So I have a website called Camera Easy, and I basically teach people how to use their cameras. And so I came to weather and storm chasing as a photographer who's learning the weather as I go. And I know a lot of people that are out there chasing storms and involved. I heard Kevin talking about using his phone to shoot a time lapse. We're all into imagery these days, and so cameraeasy.ca allows you to learn how to use your camera better.
Well, sure, it's easy if you have your own owl.
It's a nice image of an owl on your home
Just
screen.
wait. Wait.
Did you take that picture of the owl, I assume?
Actually, it's not. It's one of my students actually took that photo.
Nice.
See, that's a way better testimonial than my own photo. Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
Right.
What's your student doing over at your house, though, with the owl? Okay, my turn.
Maz, your turn.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, so I got to go back to the SPC. I got to tell you, it's like the Library of Congress. You're never going to get through every book. There's so many places. I don't know if you can see this. This is the mesoscale analysis. But, if you go up here, oh my goodness, there's so many things that you can pop up. It's insane. They have an experimental section. You want it, whatever it is you want to check out, you check it out. You want to check out severe weather, you got severe weather. You want to check out climatology for, hey, let's pop up something over here. Wherever it is you want to go, they've got something. And I think back in the olden days, you just didn't have stuff like this. You've got everything at your fingertips. What an exciting time to be a meteorology student, to be able to learn things, whether it's, three-dimensional, you'll be able to overlay multiple things. You want to go to winter weather, precipitation type. They've got all lake effect snow seasons. I mean, It's all right there at the snap of the finger. So just my hat's off to the SPC. Those guys are phenomenal.
You know, I love Maz, how excited you get about anything that's no longer a grease board.
Well, yeah.
You know, from what you're used to, that's it's always
And you don't
fun
have to write
watch.
backwards, you know, which is really nice. Ira Joe Fisher, salute to you.
I wonder if anybody's actually drawing out their own fronts on a piece of paper anymore, and doing any of that kind of work. Kevin's giving me the old
Kevin
heads
does.
up on it.
They do,
Yeah.
and I know people that do that.
Does it. Yes, SPC does it every single day. That's how
Really,
they analyze their maps.
Really?
Absolutely, every day.
Really? Hey, oh wow.
You're not just saying that?
Not just saying that. True.
Okay.
True statement.
Phil, what do you got?
So mine is a website as well, but what you can get at the website are the videos that are really outstanding. So I stumbled upon this on Twitter, but it's at stormandsky.com, and this is actually a website put together from Chaser Mike Hollingshead. And what he's done is he's got Storm Analysis 101 educational videos that you can download. It's $20, and to me it was one of the best $20 I've ever spent. There are 15 videos in all in this setup, 90 minutes worth of videos on intros to storm and storm structure and analysis. There's 127 minutes of historic storm setups. So he goes through a number of different storms that he chased. And so some of the videos are on the setup and how he planned for that and what he was looking for, what that storm before the day of was doing. And then there's 187 minutes of the storm chases. So then he goes through and chases the storm, and he walks through what he did, where he was, and obviously shows what he saw, which is amazing. So you can get all of this great educational video stuff, $20. You can download it. This is stormandsky.com.
Right on.
Cool. I like it.
Excellent. And Phil, you're going to have those links all up so that people can click right through to them?
I will, including Kevin. I think Kevin had one as well.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
Sure, I do. Just like we talked earlier with decision triggers, the Event Safety Alliance. So eventsafetyalliance.org. That is a great place for information associated with the live event space. And there are some podcasts there as well that are on weather decision triggers and how to make one and those kinds of things. So eventsafetyalliance.org.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yep. So all those, agree, Greg, all those can be found on episode 91 show notes. You can go to stormfrontfreaks.com once the podcast is up, and they will be there. Or you can also, a lot of times now, just if you're listening to us on your phone on a podcast app, you can find those show notes right there on your phone. So, all right, let's, I'm going to go over to MJ.
Send me a postcard, drop me a line.
You've got mail, baby, yeah.
All right, let's check our Freak fan box. And MJ is muted.
I can only do so many. So yeah, our Freak fan box is empty.
Whoa.
What
Yeah,
the?
sadly.
Come
our
on,
listeners
Shane.
are killing us.
Big
So-
bottom lip.
We want to hear from you. So tweet us some love at Stormfront Freak, or maybe message us on Facebook, Stormfront Freaks, or the old email, questions@stormfrontfreaks.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we feel, and we just added Greg to the show, and we've got no mail to show for it. So, But what'll happen now, having Kevin on the show tonight and having Greg come on, it's going to pour. I'm not even going to be able to keep up with it, I'm sure.
So
Yeah,
you guys,
My kids alone are going to be filling the inbox on that one, MJ.
Awesome. Bring it
we
on.
just won't use their last name. That's fine. We'll just.
so Greg, you're not related to anybody on the show, right?
No.
Okay, just checking.
No, hold on a
That's
second.
true.
Hold on a second.
Oh yeah, there I do. I see it.
Vin Diesel looks just like Vin Diesel with glasses, right?
Phil and I are practically brothers.
Well, on that note, I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. We always want to thank you for listening or watching. Before I reveal who our next guest is going to be, we always enjoyed, if you enjoy our show, we love to hear about it, okay? Leave us a review on your podcast app, written if possible. And then we'll share it on the next show in the Freak Fan Box. Or like MJ said, you can tag us on social media, what you think of the show, and we'll make sure that we share that. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the show. If you liked it, make sure you're getting the latest episode delivered right to your podcast inbox the moment we update it and release it. All you got to do is subscribe to the show or follow the show from your podcast app, and you will get that. Special thanks tonight to our guest. We had a great time with you, Dr. Kevin Kloesel. Thanks for coming on, sir.
All right.
We had a great time, so thanks for doing that. And our next episode in 2 weeks is November 14th. We are going to be with Storm Chaser Simon Brewer is going to be on the show, so we're looking forward to having Simon on. If you want to watch the recording live, you can do that on our YouTube channel. Just search Stormfront Freaks on YouTube. We will be broadcasting that again, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. That's November 14th. And I think that about does it. So for MJ, Maz, Greg, and Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we will catch you guys next time. So good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good job, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. You were awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you. I
love that you had your blood pressure machine right here.
Thank goodness any of your proctology.
Here's my question. Why was that so close?
Yeah. I've already told you what I do, right?
I was like, you're coming on our show. You had to get your blood pressure.
To be monitored.
Do you wear that? So when a storm's coming, are you like pumping it like?
So, strangely enough, what we did on campus, we did a tabletop activity across all of campus, which was a mock disaster, and we had several of us wearing heart monitors. And what we were after is to try and make sure. So we used that data after the fact to tell people to take care of themselves. Right, in an emergency management situation, it's usually that is a high stress environment that people don't even realize they're in a high stress environment. So after the fact, making sure that people get proper rest and take care of themselves, we can actually demonstrate that using data for those of us that are wearing those devices during those exercises. So it was really, really helpful.
Kevin, have you ever gone storm chasing?
Yes.
You didn't like it at all.
Yes, I did.
Actually, so I got to OU in January of 1999. My very first storm chase was May 3rd, 1999.
Oh.
And that was an event where I had my two kids with me. They were both very young. They were sort of 8 and 6 at the time. And, shaking children in the back seat going, please, Daddy, no more of this. Let's go home. Because I thought I would be educational, the perfect parent, et cetera. Yeah, it didn't work out.
That's what Daddy does.
Yeah. And then I drove for Josh Werman for 2 years. So I drove for Josh for 2 years back in the day. So
Kevin,
you drove the Dow?
Yeah.
Oh.
What kind of license did you have to get for that?
Nothing. It was just the regular license I had, right?
Wow.
The Oklahoma driver's license. So,
okay. Yeah. You had to go through the University of Oklahoma driver's video, 20-minute video, and you're good to go.
If you can level the truck in less than 30 seconds, then you were good to go. And so if you do that, you're good.
Wow. And as a parent, Kevin, ice cream next time for the kids.
I know. Trust me. They've never let me forget that.
Don't freak them out.
It's the only thing from their childhood they remember. So
we got people,
sorry, go ahead.
I say we got people still, because we're still live, that want to hear those stories. So I think we're going to have you back.
We'll have to have you back, Kevin.
Love to be back. I'd be happy to do it.
Good. That'd be good.
Let's have your kids on too and see how traumatic it was.
Trauma. Yeah, my daughter especially, right? So.
You have the heart rate monitors on them during that. So that would have been interesting.
Absolutely.
Anyway, well, thanks, Kevin. We appreciate you coming on, taking the time with us tonight.
You bet. Absolutely.
I will follow up with you just to get you some links when everything gets edited and published and all that stuff.
I emailed you the Event Safety Alliance webpage. So
perfect. I've actually got that, honestly, but thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll take that. So good stuff. And I might also be in touch with you on a professional basis here.
Of course.
In the coming months as we start working on finalizing that.
Fact,
Our goal is to try and get it done in the summer in time for the football season. Didn't happen. So we got the rest of the winter till spring shows up, and we got baseball and softball to worry about.
Well, I'm happy to help however I can be of assistance.
That'll be great. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm in Lawrence tomorrow and Saturday doing game ops for KU KSU. So just shadowing and learning. So
Nice.
We'll be happy to
making
use
a
you.
little side bet there, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
Hey,
I'm
Phil,
very
I got
All
one
right.
more question for Maz.
Hang on. Saying goodnight to all our live viewers. So
Oh, good night,
okay.
live
Okay,
viewers.
good night.
Cutting the
Good
feed.
night,
Thank
eh?
you.
All right. And go.
Maz,
Yes.
do you have like a